불멸의 전사 2.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pro League on a Tuesday night. Already Samsung out to quite the lead at 2-0. Bravo absolutely smashing Alive in that last game, and Deer taking the win in PvP in that first one.
Yeah, Bomber coming up now, though. He wants to bring it back. He was able to secure the 3-0 for the Freaks when he was up against Guilty, I believe it was. No, not Guilty. Salvation, who became some other name. Forte, that's right.
Guilty, I'm like, whoa, that's a throwback.
No, not Guilty. I don't know why I said that. But he was able to secure the 3-0 for the Freaks to go to the playoffs. They did not perform there, but Bomber has, like, the Bomber law is no longer true. He will never disappoint anymore. He's, like, not been disappointing. And I think Patience can take out Armani. So even though it's a great lead here for Samsung, this could absolutely turn around on its head and go to the ace match. Totally possible.
I mean, it definitely could. And I really want to see if Bomber can continue with this spree of wins. I think he's got 3 in a row already. But Reality himself has, not the worst TVT. And I feel like both Bravo and Reality are good at these, longer games, positioning. Reality was that guy in TVZ that would always play mech. That was part of the very famous game with Sulky that lasted about 2 hours or more.
I think Reality's style is really patient and like very slow, but that's not really how TVT works anymore. It's all like action all the time. Tank-a-back, harass. This vote is very close. GTR actually goes on Reality's side here, but
GTR.
I'm a believer. Like, I've got a Bomber poster on my wall right now. Like, I was not a believer.
After his third win, you were like, I got to put this up again.
That's it. Yeah, I was like, I give up. I'm not voting against him ever again. I'm a believer.
Let's go into Game 3, guys. Bomber versus Reality for another TVT. Here in the top left in the red from Afreeca, it is Bomber.
And his opponent to the bottom left in blue for Samsung, it is Reality. A win here would not only stop Bomber's streak, but close out a victory for Samsung. A very important 3-0 indicator as well. They would grab 3 points if he was able to do it. Because I think it is possible they win in the ace match, but I really feel like it's Reality who has to seal it out here. It would be like so perfect for them, considering they won those first 2 matches. Let's see what sort of style he's going to show us.
Yeah, I'm really feeling the Bomber hype train for sure. Those last couple of matches, not even the one against Forte, that was kind of messy, but besides that one, I was watching this play, I'm like, this guy is practicing a lot, They're talking about these signs. They're calling Kanata handsome. Good stuff like that.
Yeah. Something about a grand tournament.
Talking about Hearthstone, perhaps?
Probably, because I know Kanata is like the biggest suddenly jumping onto Hearthstone player I've ever seen. Like, the first time I saw Kanata play Hearthstone, I tried to teach me, he was like, I hate this game. It's boring. It's not fun. Starcraft's the only game for me. And now I'm like, every day he's trying. And I think he actually got Legend. I think he told me the other day. So he's been playing a lot of Hearthstone. I, however, have not really. I'm just waiting for the new format to come out.
Yeah, I've been pretty much like playing Arena on the bus, That's me. When I'm at home, I don't really play Hearthstone, But like when I'm on the bus, perhaps, I just play some Arena. But once Standard comes out, we'll try it out, see what's going on, because a lot of things are going to change. Should be fun. But Starcraft.
It's the only game for me. I'm wearing my Starcraft promise ring right now. I've got my Starcraft anklet on.
Starcraft undies, the lucky ones.
I've got my lucky Starcraft underwear, and when I go to bed at night, I have a Starcraft pillow. And like, if you flip it over, it shows that I'm in Gold League, but like, nobody can know about that.
I thought you were gonna say it had like Overwatch on the back or something. I don't show that side until Overwatch comes out.
Well, my mattress underneath, if you take all the sheets off, does have like all the Heroes of the Storm characters on it, even some that haven't been released yet, but no one can ever see that.
Yeah, that's very secret.
But just looking at this game that we're in right now, we had like a really aggressive scout from Reality. Kind of saw everything. I think he saw the CC as well. If he didn't, it was like perfect timing from Bomber. He put it on the high ground right after the SCV left, and
yeah,
I'm not sure if he ever confirmed. Okay, so he never did confirm, but he saw everything else, which I think leads him to believe that there was a CC on the way.
And he had his SCV around, but it did get sniped, but it scouted the low ground, so you know, maybe he thinks just based on the build it looks like a Reaper expand, just based on the timing, right? But, you know, he's not 100% sure because it's not on the low ground. He may be seeing it and just being like, okay, it's just a safe Reaper expand with it in the main. He's now got 3 Marines, but this is definitely going to be a strong push here from our boy Reality. Really nice grenade there on all the Marines.
Sick grenade there. These grenades are usually placed in order to knock units down the ramp, because then you could just kill them for sure, but even still, he just hit almost everything, so he did a lot of damage. And I think what Reality was thinking here was maybe the CC was still going to be built. He's like, well, this is a really late CC. Maybe it's about to finish down the low ground, but he's still committed to the attack, got a little bit of damage done. The game is kind of evened out at this point, though, with his base mining a little bit more than Bomber's, but Bomber can break down the ramp here in just a moment. And I just want to give a slight lead to Reality based on the fact that he did that little bit of damage. And wow, he's going to keep the pressure on, like this fake pressure, and take a third base.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, he's already got Bomber kind of on the back foot.
Yeah,
defending,
he's making a cyclone. Like,
that's not where you want to be. You want to be making tanks right now. And Reality himself is going to be making his first tank. I think that's his first tank. Yeah, it is. At the same time, he's got this drop with, looks like 4 Hellions going into the main. Let's see how Bomber can defend this one.
4 Hellion drop here. Don't forget there's another drop coming counter-wise as well. So both players are going to have to defend and attack at the same time. SCV is going for the surround here, and actually it's a really nice surround. Very few going down. Meanwhile, this drop forcing lost mining time. I think the defense here for Bomber much better. Back at Reality's base, he still hasn't dealt with this. He's only losing a depot, but he's losing so much mining time as a Reaper sneaks into the natural here.
Wow, kills the mule. Shouldn't really be happening. It looks like this is going to be picked up, and it should be able to get away. So after doing a lot of damage here, and also, by the way, scouting the third base at the same time, which it looks like he's going to try to deny here. Vikings should be able to clean that up. Oh, so close. If the one Marine he dropped out had more health, he would have killed it.
Yeah. That's so funny. This is one of those TVTs that reminds me of old, like, Wings of Liberty, original GSTL TVTs, like where like we had the best epics of the best, or epics of or the best.
I thought you were gonna say the best something, but then you just said the best, you know, like the guy's name.
Yeah, no, it was these TVTs where everyone was always dropping like Blue Flame Hellions, like the Slayers TVT style, where it's like everyone is always having to defend Banshees while also harassing, and it really tests your multitasking. I love that so much.
Look at the army right now of Bomber. He has that Cyclone. He's got a medevac out here. He is behind on Vikings, but he's got a lot more Marines, and it looks like he wants to break this natural ramp.
He also has this Cyclone, which is going to make it so much easier to lock down units that want to try to retreat up the ramp. He needs to do some sort of damage here to make up for the fact that Reality has a third CC, but I think he should be able to do just fine here. Look at this aggressive tank-evac coming in. Maybe overextending a little bit here with SCVs coming out, but the Cyclones on top of the tanks.
Look at that Cyclone getting to work on the left side.
Oh my
God.
One
tank taking a lot of damage here. The SCVs coming out here, and the 2 tanks of Reality do survive somehow, some way. It looks like the medevacs of Bomber did go down, and now he can repair those. It looks like 15 SCVs do go down, though.
He lost his whole army, though. He lost his whole army, and he wasn't really making much at home. You know?
Interesting spot right now, you know, where the economy of Bomber is going to be way ahead once he gets that third base online, but he lost his whole army, as you were saying.
Well, I mean, like, you know, you say way ahead, but I mean, it will be, if he had it, like, right now a little bit, but he's, like, losing so many mules and stuff. Like, I feel like that was an overextension, even though he killed some SCVs and forced SCV pulls. Like, Reality's just like, yeah, Cyclone, I cancel its targeting, it cancel its lock-on by just picking up my tanks. It was cool that he put it in between the tanks because they couldn't fire, but then Reality just moved them. I liked what he was doing, and I think he could have like been a little bit more patient than hit the third CC and force that to maybe retreat to the main, but he lost everything. And now he even has to make a bunker at home. So not so sure about his position here. He's ahead in upgrades, like he has a faster +1.
Yeah, but he's got like the second engineering bay later. It's I think eventually it is going to kind of even out overall. I feel like on the back foot, Reality had a lot of his army left over, but there were 2 super low tanks, and he had lost so many SCVs, so he also had to repair, and his economy was like kind of stumped for a little bit.
Sure.
But now it's like everybody's kind of back online, and we have to reevaluate where we are. And especially 3-base versus 3-base TVT, like anything really could happen here. One big drop could get you ahead or behind. And it looks like, we say it all the time, aggression is definitely very good in TVT. It looks like Reality wants to be the guy that begins to put on this aggression first.
I almost feel like TVT is like the highest skill cap matchup because of what you just said. Like anything can happen. Like even if you're ahead, you can't just like sit back and rest on your laurels. Like you could get dropped. You may overextend in a fight. You have to micro perfectly. One mistake could cost you the game with how siege tanks work in the meta, where we have just tank bio. Looks like he's going to commit to this. There is a bunker, but he knows it's empty essentially here, and SCVs have to be pulled.
All the Marines were at the 3rd base for Bomber, so the Marines here are going to be cleaned up of Reality, and the Marines now of Bomber are stimming in, and he's trying to snipe some of those tanks, but he does fail, so the tanks do survive, but again, it's like another one of these trades where Bomber loses 18 SCVs now. Uh-oh, we've got to be careful. Loses that medevac with the tank.
This is so funny. Like, all right, so I predict that what's going to happen next is Bomber's going to counterattack, kill some SCVs, and lose his whole army.
Kill like 21 SCVs now? Like 15, 18, 21?
Well, I mean, this is definitely not like a TY or a Cure-style TVT or even like a Dream TVT. These guys are seeing advantages and trying to really push the envelope on their advantages and counterattacking, but they're just not getting done what they need to.
They're not waiting for that perfect moment. They're just trying to like barge up your ramp and just run in the front door essentially and just overpower their opponents. Hasn't really worked out so far.
We're not seeing that much harass. Like we saw a lot of harass in the early game. Now we're finally seeing Reality send a medevac drop to the right side. But besides these moves, it's just been kind of brute force. And in TVT, and even in like most mirror matchups, like PvP especially, when you just try to brute force your way into it, because compositions and defender's advantage are, tough to attack into, you don't find much. But now we're going to see Bomber do that counterattack. Let's see how many SCVs he gets while he loses his whole army.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, there is a drop going on at the 3rd base. Look at this, there's nothing over here, no sensor tower. Again, these Afreeca Terrans just deciding they don't like sensor towers, and he's denied all this mining at this 3rd base.
And it's only 4 Marines too, he lost the medevac. Oh, nice pull there from Reality. Sick Marine control to avoid those tanks.
Really nice position on the tanks of Bomber, and the stim coming in, he's gonna focus down a bunch of those tanks. Needs to gather up his own tanks.
Oh my god, the micro's insane from Reality though. All those tank saves were so sick. And finally, he does, Bomber does eventually defend that 3rd base, but if he had not picked up those tanks perfectly and those medevacs exactly as he did, he might have actually just simply lost the game here. He's still on the back foot, he's still struggling to defend, but if he had not microed that well, this would be a totally different story.
Yeah, look at this. We got a bunch more units coming across the map here for Bomber. It looks like Reality has 2 Vikings in the sky. This is what I was talking about. He's got that air control with just 2 Vikings. So Bomber's waiting for his moment to stim in, and here he comes, dropping the tanks and stimming up the ramp.
There's a lot of Marines here to buffer, though, and there's 4 tanks at the back, 4 Realities, cleaning up the air army, and another overextension here in this TVT. It looks like Bomber going to lose a lot more than just his bio force on the ground.
Oh man, so
this
close,
just keeps
but definitely
happening.
Reality getting the win in that fight. This one tank is going to be sniped too. It looks like a bunch of Marines now stimming in, but this will be cleaned up. He's going to lose those Marines.
This should have happened a long time ago. He should have done this while he had the front sieged up, but now he doesn't have enough Marines, and Reality doesn't have to worry about the push at the front, so he just sends the rest of his bioforce here. Bomber loses even more, and this is, I think, the biggest edge that a player has had in this game right now. Now Reality starts 3-3. He has, a 4th base being moved over. He has the much larger army. He's almost doubling the army of Bomber. And Bomber, like we had every exchange where someone would lose their army but kill a lot of SCVs. This time Bomber lost his army and didn't do any economic damage really at all.
Yeah, I feel like Reality lost a big chunk of his army too. And they both have this orbital floating out to the 4th base. And again, Reality definitely does have that advantage for sure this time around, but I don't know, I feel like Bomber still could try to drop in here. This one sensor tower is doing wonders for Reality. Like, if anything ever flew in there, he'd be right on point. His army positioning has been quite nice on the defense. You were talking about his micro, saving all those tanks. He just consistently does that over and over and over again, and he's always there for any kind of harass at the third base, too.
I feel like Reality has really stepped up his play when it comes to control, because he was more known for his patience, his mech play, you know, his defensive style, like attack into me if you dare. I got like 8 Thors and a bunch of you know, mech stuff. But man, in this game, he's looking like a micro god in TVT. I'm really impressed. He's stepping it up big. Yeah,
and Bomber's still having trouble with these drops. His whole army out of position right as this transfer comes over. Reality with a really nicely timed drop towards that 4th base. Maybe he was assuming Bomber would have the same timing with his own 4th.
And the rocks aren't dead. Something that Reality did that Bomber did not. So with the rocks not dead here, guess what? This base is under attack too. He has to send his whole bio army. Look how far it has to go. And now, Reality's going to punish and trap this bio and hit the 4th. This is so bad for Bomber. And he's still killing SCVs at the 3rd base.
Oh, look at this. All the tanks on the left side here for Bomber going to try to clean up the drop. He's going to lose this orbital command, and there goes all mining at your 4th.
He never killed the rocks. And so how can he defend these bases without a sensor tower even? A bit of a big oversight, to be totally frank, from Bomber here. And Reality cleared up his rocks. He's about to have 3-3 and +2 for his tanks. And he's ready to swing the hammer to finish this game.
Yeah, Bomber he's got the position. Here he goes, dropping into that natural, and Bomber is just on the run. He's going to try to come from 2 locations, but the backside is very, very late. Here comes the stem and the tanks from behind.
He's going to try to go for it. He does get a good angle with his Marines from behind, in fact. And all of his tanks on the low ground are safe, but it's just not even close to enough.
Way too much stuff. GG, and Samsung takes the 3-0 on the backs of 2 great TVTs from both Brawler and Reality, and that PvP from Deer.
Really nicely done here. Very impressed. And I gotta say, like, these guys knowing their mirror matchups, solid tonight. Yeah. I mean, Reality outplayed Bomber hard after he got that lead with the, you know, when Bomber committed to that attack. And Bomber never killed the rocks. And he knew that the rocks were still alive, so he's like, all right, I'm going to hit you in their 3rd base, and then you're going to have to send everything all the way around. He didn't have a bunker, he didn't have anything there. It's like, if you don't kill the rocks, and most of your army's at your 4th, and you have some to defend 1 drop, if 1 drop makes you send your whole army around that, like, U shape around the rocks, you're going to lose your 4th because he's got an army that's bigger than yours.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of lack of defense out of Bomber. He always wanted to be on the aggression, but never set up. He had 1 turret. Again, it's kind of like, again, what we saw from Alive in the game on Overgrowth. He had 1 turret in his main. Like, that is not ever going to stop a drop. You can get all your Marines out, you can boost past the 1 missile turret, and still do that damage, and still get the drop in. Same thing out of Bomber, whereas Reality, his micro and his defense were just so on point. You were talking about how, you know, he's known for his defense. Well, we saw it there in that game. And part of it was the micro, the control as well. But I just feel like a much more solid TVT from Reality, and those 2 guys showing up big against those 2 Afreeca Terrans.
Yeah, Bomber's streak will end with this loss as well, and I feel like it was reminiscent of his game versus Forte, where like he was ahead, but he just couldn't capitalize as well, and you know, his TVT definitely had maybe some holes in it in its mid to late game. But I feel like Bomber needed to win to bring us to patience so that Afreeca Freaks could go to the ace match. But Reality winning this is so huge. And this is 3 points for Samsung. So this is a great opportunity for them to actually make playoffs this time.
Yeah, they go to 1 and 2 with a 0 indicator essentially. So if they can continue to win from here, especially with some nice just performances from their players like today, they're definitely going to be pretty happy with their position. We don't get to see Armani play a 2nd game. We do have a 2nd match on the way. I'm not sure if we're going to get to that MVP interview. Maybe we're still trying to decide. You know, we're buying some time here, but definitely stay tuned, guys. We got CJ Entis versus SK Telecom coming up here. I feel like SK definitely the big favorite, but, you know, you never know from these CJ boys. They're also very good.
If we looked at the CJ roster last year, this would be like one of the most hype matches, even with Ragnarok and Bunny, but the morale on this team right now is not looking good, whereas SKT, of course, looking unstoppable right now, despite their one, I guess, misstep versus MVP where they had to win in the ace match. Otherwise, they've looked pretty undefeated, and they still are undefeated. They just don't have as good of an indicator as Jin Air.